Conceive, believe, achieve.
This is former UFC middleweight champion of the world, Michael Bisping.
Paddy the Baddy here. You're listening to Combat Sports UK.
And you're watching Combat Sports UK.
Hey everybody, before you jump into this week's Combat Sports UK podcast, I've got some exciting news for you. Do you want to look as stylish as Thomas Shelby when you train? Do you want to experience the comfort that can only be achieved by a cup of tea on a cold day? Well, good news for you guys. Ex-Martial has partnered with us, Combat Sports UK. They are the fastest growing brand in martial arts for a reason. They are making waves and taking practitioners with their slick, stylish, and hilarious designs that are fit for a king. From rash guards to shorts, streetwear, and more, Ex-Martial has got you covered. Ex-Martial is an extremely community-oriented brand, having given away over $50,000 in free gear last year alone, as well as sponsoring over 300 athletes. And if you shop using the code CSUK10 at checkout, you can get 10% off everything in store. That code again is CSUK10 at checkout. Go and check out xmartial.com and enjoy the fight. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the Combat Sports UK MMA YouTube channel. We're back doing the pod, reviewing Umar Nurmagomedov and Corey Sandhagen fight night over there in Abu Dhabi, in the sweltering heat of Abu Dhabi. As always, I'm joined by a man who, it is confirmed, did indeed lend that costume to Conor McGregor at the bare knuckle event over the weekend. John Gamebred Boguslavski, how are you, my friend? You survived the Canadian cabins. Good to have you back.
Oh yeah. I mean, Connor just like hit me up and was like, I needed a suit. I was like, I got you. The cabin was nice. As we say, we didn't have that English weather, so that was good. And some Habib training was done as well. So all good.
Habib training with the Bears. Oh, and you're just in time to break down a Nurmagomedov victory at UFC Fight Night. But before we do get into that, I just want to touch very quickly on the news that the return to Abu Dhabi sees Ilia Topuria and Max Holloway face-to-face for the belt, and also on that card, Robert Whittaker, Khamzat Chimaev. What do you make of that card? I mean, it's unreal, right? It's absolutely unreal.
I mean, that card could go blow for UC 300, kind of.
Okay.
Especially if you consider like the main event. The main card opener was Bo Nickel and Cody Brundage.
Yep.
Here it's a bit better. It's Leon Murphy versus Dan Ige.
Yeah, it's a banger.
That's a banger. Leon Murphy is one of the top featherweight. I wouldn't even call him a prospect, I'm a contender now. Climbing up the rankings. We have we know Pereira's not fighting Ankalaev now. So there's other plans. Rakic is back. Glad to see Rakic back after being injured. He lost to Yuri. He's coming back. I think it's a good matchup for him. I will say Robert Whittaker versus TBD because we've already seen what happened last time. We don't know how well Chimaev has recovered and if he's ready to fight. So let's see, because Chimaev has pulled out a lot of fights now as well. I mean, and then my man Max Holloway, BMF, be a 3-time featherweight champion would be kind of crazy.
Yeah, it would be unreal. I mean, I'm going to need a pacemaker after the co-main event. I'm going to need a pacemaker for sure. Definitely for the first round of the co-main event. I think if it gets out of that first round, it's Robert Whittaker's all day. With the amount of illnesses that Khamzat's had, the dude's going to I think he's going to really struggle to go 5 rounds. Man. Really, really struggle.
Yeah, the fact that it's 5 rounds. The fact that it's the 5 round gives a huge advantage to Whittaker. And Whittaker was already training for Khamzat. He got out. He did have another fight against Liskarov. He won. Mm-hmm. So he has that. He's been active. He knows how the cage feels. He's ready. Is all the questions, big question marks around Khamzat, as usual. Yeah, massive. Do you have an early prediction for Topuria Holloway? I will say Max for sure. I have to sleep on it. I don't know how Max is gonna win yet. I haven't envisioned yet. Like I saw it was sketchy. So for now, probably decision Max win. I think it's gonna be really close. Ilya might come out really strong one of the rounds, 2-3 when he feels like he's down, but Max will keep the distance, not get into the cage, and keep firing shots, stand in the middle of the cage.
Yeah, fascinating one, that, man. I'm going to be praying to every single god there is that Rob and Max pick up the victories on that night. I couldn't handle it if both of them lost. And just quickly, like you did mention Ankalaev getting that fight against Rakic. I mean, and then you've obviously got Garn and Volkov on there as well. There's a completely different division. I don't know why I'm talking about that.
Yeah.
But no, because it leads in actually to the Alex Pereira conversation. I mean, if this fight is happening, obviously Garn and Volkov, you would fancy possibly to fight Tom Aspinall next. And Kalaev surely should have fought Pereira next, right? Is it in the making? Is my little prophecy going to come true that UFC at MSG is going to just do a badass heavyweight tournament?
I do have a little theory as well.
Okay.
There's a pay-per-view happening in a month. The next pay-per-view.
Salt Lake City, right?
Previewing. No, what's the next pay-per-view previewing?
The next one
305,
is
yeah.
Oh yeah, sorry, 305. Sorry. Yeah, 305, 306. 307 is the Salt Lake City one that I'm talking about, right?
So I'm trying to see. So what do you think of? The theory I'm trying to have is the 305.
Hold on a minute. I think I know where you're going with this. But go.
I think the UFC is waiting to see what happens with Izzy versus Drakus. Izzy regains the title, middleweight. I think we might see Izzy move up again to fight Pereira for a trilogy at light heavyweight.
At MSG.
I don't know if MSG because I can't see them co-maining for Jones or Stipe, and I can't see them main eventing if Jones and Stipe is co-main. It might be something like around that time. Salt Lake's still open for main event spot. We don't know what's happening there, and it's a few weeks before Abu Dhabi. You see 308. 309 should be MSG, so it could be 307, 310. That I could see Pereira, Izzy, light heavyweight if Izzy wins. If not, then they might throw in Aspinall. It's because like if you think about it, a lot of people like want to see Aspinall Pereira. Dana's like more reluctant to it. Who else would you see Pereira in there if Ankalaev is not?
Yeah,
it's not available.
Izzy's the only one. Yeah. And I like the theory.
And if you forget about kickboxing, MMA, they're 1-1. Trilogy could happen especially if Izzy regains a 3-time middleweight champion. Pereira, two weight class champion. He's defended light heavyweights a lot of times. So we'll see. I don't know if it'll be a short amount of time for turnover for Izzy to go from 305 to 307. But then 310 might be the thing. In December, there's a big card in Vegas.
Yeah, and Conor McGregor seems to be doing anything but wanting to fight at the moment. That could well be happening, man. That could well be happening. Well, look, you heard it here first. If it does happen, there's the man to go to, Mr. Boguslavski. What did you make of the main event? Umar Nurmagomedov beating out Corey Sandhagen by unanimous decision. Very unanimous on the judges' scorecards. There was 150-45 in there, if I'm not mistaken, which I was quite surprised at. But the other scorecards I pretty much agreed with. What did you think?
Yeah, I think I saw Corey taking just one round away from, but either way, it was a dominant win in a way for Umar. For Corey, he jumped up. This reminds me of the O'Malley versus Jan fight where O'Malley was ranked 13 and Jan was ranked number 1 or 2. With a big jump like that, and I guess this is how the UC sees Umar is a big star, so he could go up and beat Corey Sandhagen. Corey's a very likable fighter. He's some sensational knockout submission wins. So I'm more disappointed in Corey than I'm more impressed with Umar because I don't feel Corey Sandhagen gave Umar a real threat anytime or anywhere. I feel like Corey was always just like advancing a little bit, throwing a lot of feints. For every like 10 feints he would throw one shot. Yeah. And he didn't do much damage on Umar, and Umar reversed didn't do a lot of damage on Corey as well. I didn't see any big punches that went, oh, great, like some crazy reaction. And it just kept repeating every round. I feel it's feints. Somebody would go for a takedown or Umar, and then Corey would do that. What do you call it? That roll.
The Ishigami, something like that.
That roll, and then they would just end up in the same position where Umar was on a backpack position, but like they were both sitting down. So it's like And obviously Corey's really good at jiu-jitsu. We see him escape a lot of submission attempts, except Sterling's apparently. But
Yeah.
he would always escape it, do scramble. There was never a really good top position. Even Umar said after he was disappointed he didn't dominate in wrestling as much. But as your spot like this, you should have been like way more impressed. Impressed for me to be like, yeah, this guy deserves a title shot. Overall, I think this was just it was still a good fight, but not as exciting as I thought it would be.
Yeah, I think Corey going into his corner, I think, was it at the end of the fourth, looking really frustrated with himself. So I think that kind of summed up the performance a little bit for me. I think he took the first round. I think Umar just kind of downloaded him and said, okay, I know what's going on here. He had some success with a kind of like a lead left hook. I think it was in the third round. I think he hit him 4 or 5 times in sequence with that. But it seemed like for every one shot after those 10 feints that Corey threw, Umar kind of had a 3 or 4 shot combination answer that really kind of put Corey on the back foot, which you don't see too often. I was actually really impressed with how Corey dealt with the wrestling and kept it mostly a stand-up fight. I mean, I think when you look at that whole camp, right, I would arguably say that's the best I've seen anyone deal with a Nurmagomedov wrestling. And I include Volk in that because if you remember the Volk fight, he did get his back taken for the majority of the round. I think Corey dealt with it really, really, really well. He got to the hands really well, always got back to his feet pretty well. In those scramble positions after he did a roll, yeah, he looked in a weird position, but I kind of saw it the first time and thought, oh, okay, he's got the idea of how to get back up here. So I'm really impressed with how he dealt with the grappling side of things.
Yeah,
But like
he
you
was
said
going
about the
to
striking.
he was just going to a neutral position, right? Like he did the roll and they were both in just a neutral position.
Yeah.
And it wasn't, in my opinion, it wasn't some like crazy scrambles. I was like, oh my god, what a crazy scrambling, like something you see like a jiu-jitsu tournament or whatever like that. So that's why it didn't impress me as much. It's more like to a neutral position. Now, okay, I get 1 feet, try to go around it, but Umar is very fast on the ground. Like he took his back. He was
Yeah, dude,
rolling around
grappling.
him really good. The grappling is amazing. It just wasn't impressive that they're just it wasn't just crazy scrambles. Nobody was like trying. It's just Corey was always defending and Umar was always attacking.
Yeah, and I think Corey just knew what to do. He seemed to know what to do in those positions. And no, you can't get into a scramble with Umar, but he always ended up. It looked like he was um, in control defensively, so to speak, right? Like you could see the system he was trying to build to get back to his feet, or something like that. So I was really impressed. I thought had he solved the puzzle on the feet, then it could have been a different outcome. But that Umar was so good on the feet. I think before we talk about the title picture, let's talk about not the co-main event, but the one underneath that, because I think it ties in quite nicely to the title picture overall, which is Davison Figueiredo defeating Marlon Vera by unanimous decision and knocking him down, being the first person to do so in the UFC. I don't know about Vera's career before that. Second person, who else did it? Did Sean do it?
One of the first fights. Cheeto has been fought in 24 fights now, but he has been dropped. It wasn't Sean. It was still with the Reebok shorts. I still remember. Marlon had no facial hair, no tats
Nothing.
on his head yet. It was some guy I don't remember. It was
Different dude.
24 fights ago. 24 fights ago.
Wow. Wow. So let's talk about that fight, and then let's talk about the title picture as it stands right now, where you think everything should go. I mean, were you in the same camp as me that was just really disappointed with Marlon Vera? I really thought he was poor.
Yeah, I thought he was the bigger guy. Definitely, I thought he was a more skilled guy. I thought he had more knockout power than Figgy. I thought if anybody would get dropped, it would be Figgy compared to Marlon.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's tough. I really like Marlon. Marlon seems like he needs just 5 round fights and then get somebody against old people, against Edgar or against Cruz, and just find a highlight reel knockout for him to win. Because I just, as of late, been disappointed by Marlon, although he's still exciting. But his last memorable fight for me was probably Cruz, and that was 3-4 fights ago now.
Yeah. That was a while ago, almost two years ago, right? This weekend 2 years ago, August 2022.
Right? Because then he fought Corey, which is I shouldn't be a split decision, but
Mhm.
that was terrible. Fought Pedro Munoz, that was a boring fight as well.
Yeah,
Sean O'Malley just got a beating on him
yeah,
and now loses to Figueredo. So
yeah. Not great, man. Not great for Marlon Vera. And I don't. I mean, you're looking at a drop down in the rankings, really, in terms of who you fight next. He's dropped down 3 places to 7. Then you got the outside guys: Kyler Phillips, Bautista, Cruz, Martinez, Jackson, Song Yadong, Jose Aldo. So yeah, the options are not looking great for Cheeto, man. And I think he's getting on as well a little bit in years. What is it? 31 actually, so it's not too bad. I think he needs to take some time. I think even
yeah,
he said himself after the fight that it was too close to that grueling title fight. We say grueling. He got the
got
brakes
his
beat
ass
out of
handed to him for 5 rounds for
him. Yeah,
25 minutes.
yeah, and he took one of the baddest knees I think I've ever seen. So take a break, take till summer next year, rebuild yourself, work on a few things, and come back and just work out whatever it is that stops you going for it in the first round. On the other hand, Davison Figueiredo puts him at a 3-fight win streak in the division. Wins over Garbrandt, Rob Font, and now obviously Marlon Vera takes him up to number 5 in the rankings. So he jumps 1 place. Um, is it just a typical Figgy performance, or did you see anything that really impressed you that said, "Oh yeah, man, he's legit at this weight class"?
He was very legit. He was legit at flyweight, except for a guy called Moreno that was just,
Yeah,
they were super close at every fight they had except that last one where the doctor stopped it. And it's typical Figgy. And I was even talking about it with my friend, like, who else have you seen going from a lower weight class, being a champion, who has a who he didn't technically defend it, but he did defend the belt once, sorry. He did defend it. He lost the belt and regained the belt, moves up a weight class, and then has to fight 3, potentially 4 contenders
yeah.
to fight for the belt. I don't know if we have seen that in other divisions. I feel like anybody else who's moved up a weight class to fight for the belt who was a champion, either one fight or will fight for the belt right now.
Yeah,
So it's
absolutely. The obvious one is Poatan, isn't it? Really, like he took 1 fight at light heavyweight, boom, straight in for the belt.
right. There's him. Cejudo was the flyweight champ, defended the belt once, moved up,
Yeah.
uh, fought for the vacant. If you so I don't understand why Figgy has to go through all of this to
Mm-hmm.
get the chance to fight for the bantamweight belt again. However, he's proving he's the man. He's
Oh,
proving
he
like
is.
he's proving that he's not he was unbeatable on flyweight, he's unbeatable at bantamweight as well. Like he beat Rob Font, who people consider to have one of the best jabs in the division, outstruck him, did everything correctly. He went to have a fun fight, let's say UFC 300, to open
Yep.
up the show. He beat Cody Garbrandt, submitted him easily in the second round, I believe, and then fights Marlon Vera, who's probably people consider one of the more durable guys. O'Malley couldn't drop him in 5 rounds. He dropped Vera in 3.
Yeah.
Um, he wasn't being dominated. I didn't see Figgy at being in trouble at any time. Really, like I was like worried for him. He always came back, even when it seemed like Cheeto rocked Figgy. Figgy came right back and stood his ground. So I'm just impressed with Figgy. I was a big Moreno fan, so that's why I kind of like maybe hit it on Figgy. But like, damn, this guy is amazing. He's an unstoppable force in the bantamweight division. I would have actually gave him the title shot over Umar.
So yeah, that takes us to the next discussion. I mean, I'm in total agreement, man. I'm so impressed with how well Figgy's doing at that division, and considering the dude's 36. Yeah, he's 36. Like we all know that statistic that guy broke the other week in Manchester that we're just not going to talk about. But we know the
Who?
statistic about people, 35 and older in these weight categories, and to see what Figueiredo's doing and the way he's doing it, like I generally think if he'd have put his foot on the gas, he could have finished Marlon Vera. I think if he'd have really, really gone for him, he could have finished him. I felt like there was not hesitancy, but a bit more strategy in Figgy's performance against Vera. But I think if he went for it, I think he could have finished him on the ground or on the feet. He looked so good, so good. I was really, really impressed with him. Everything looks great. So you've said it already. He should get the shot over Umar, and Umar really, really has jumped the queue here, so to speak. I mean, could you tell me off the top of your head, without looking, who did Umar beat before Corey Sandhagen?
Barcelos.
No.
Was it not?
That was before that one.
That was so confident.
That's exactly the point.
Yes, it was the Kazakhstani on short notice. I cannot remember his name.
Almakan. I
Yes,
didn't know it.
yes.
I didn't know it without looking. So that's the one big argument, I think, right? Umar even said it in his post fight, one of the interviews. Who you can say now, who have I fought? Blah, 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 blah. Yeah, you beat Corey Sandhagen coming back off a bad injury. What's your reasoning? Why do you think Figgy deserves it more than Umar and should be in next with the winner of O'Malley and Navalishvili?
Former flyweight champion. Two-time flyweight champion. He beat a champion in Brandon Moreno. He beat a former champion in Cody Garbrandt. He is 3-0 in Bantamweight division against number 7 Font, number 5 Vera, who just came off a title shot. Usually when somebody does a title shot and loses and you fight the guy, it means you should be the title shot next. I also maybe want to consider his age. Like you said, he is 36. Umar is 28. Umar could definitely just fight one more. Why not give him somebody who's actually in the top 5? Defend your top 5 ranking. We all know he's probably most likely going to win, but cement him as a number 1 contender. He beats Corey, who's number 3. Give him, I don't know who's at 1 right now in bantamweight. It's Merab probably.
Merab, yeah. Merab,
2.
Umar, Petian, Sandhagen, Figueiredo, Cejudo, Vera, Yadong, Aldo.
So give him Jan. I don't know if Jan has a fight booked. I feel like he does have one, but give him a fight booked. Anyways, you know the Dagestanis don't like fighting more than twice a year, so he's definitely gonna be only fighting in December. That's also probably when O'Malley's gonna be ready, but I think Figgy deserves over it. I think Figgy he paid his dues, already being a champion, beating, even though it was Cody Garbrandt, he beat a former bantamweight champion. He beat a title challenger for the bantam who just fought for the belt. I think they're doing Figgy a little dirty here to go through all these hoops. So that's why I think he deserves it more.
Yeah, I think
it's not like there's a clear number 1 contender. We know it's Merab and they're fighting. So it's like Umar could wait, I feel. Umar could wait, could definitely like be more convincing if he beats another person.
I mean, do you put those guys in an eliminator?
No.
I
think no, because unless somebody's injured, if like O'Malley and Merab and somebody comes out that fight really injured, then maybe. And just in my eyes, Figgy is the number 1 contender. He hasn't done anything wrong. Hasn't had a setback. He's a former flyweight champion. He beat 3 people in bantamweight division. Umar kind of just beat Corey Sandhagen. I feel like if we even put Figueiredo against Sandhagen, Figueiredo probably would have won based on that's how confident Figueiredo looks right now. So if O'Malley and Merab somebody gets injured and nobody could defend their belt, maybe I would do them as a number 1 contender type fight.
Yeah, it's an interesting division right now, the way it's going, and it is super deep. I mean, we don't know what Henry Cejudo's doing there as well.
I don't want me to talk about Cejudo. I don't know what's happening. Cejudo's won in 3 fights now. A long time. He's older. He's semi-retired. I don't want to hear Cejudo in the UFC anymore. I don't know. He lost all the aura he had.
Yeah, man, he's not doing so good. I agree. Yeah, I think it is too soon. I think Umar's got to do at least one more in that top five, defend a position, and then Figgy. I would like to see Figgy versus either O'Malley or Dvalishvili. If Umar had gone out there and finished Sanhagen,
Yeah,
I think it's a different story. I think it is a different story. Yes, Sandhagen is a massive problem, but he has been out for a long time, so you can kind of take the win with a pinch of salt. And I think Sandhagen on his day is elite, elite, elite. Like he could very well be the champ at some point. So yeah, maybe let's see that happen. Let's see Figueiredo and O'Malley maybe on the January card, or Marab also maybe on the January card or something like that. But then who knows? The UFC
maybe.
loves Sean O'Malley, so if he loses, they could just give him that rematch. They could do it straight. I think if that happens, depending on the O'Malley Marab outcome, if that does happen, then I think you can throw in those guys as an eliminated set. Okay, this is who's next.
I think Umar should face the loser of O'Malley Marab. I think that will prove cement him, especially if
Marab and
Marab
Umar will be
loses.
a great fight.
Will be a
That
great
will be
fight
a
because
good
they're
fight.
both strong wrestling based. So you could outbeat people in the striking, and you gotta make it another main event. You need Umar to see if Umar could go 5 rounds again. Although he did
Yeah.
prove it, but someone who's a relentless worker like Marab, that's who you want to see him against.
Yeah, too right. And very quickly, just in one word, who would you like to see Corey go up against next? What would you like to see him do?
That's tough. He just came off an injury. He ripped off his bicep, I believe. So
Yeah.
give him. I mean, he fought everybody too. If you think about it, he
He's
fought
for everybody.
Ralph Font, Sonya Dong, Cheeto, Jan, TJ, Sterling. So I don't know, just somebody, maybe Cheeto rematch. I don't think people are excited to see that fight. Do you have the rankings in front of you?
Yeah,
Who's
yeah, yeah. So, I mean, I got two suggestions. Suggestion number
yeah,
one is a Petr Yan rematch because
yeah.
he's got an L. He's got an L to Petr Yan, or the guy you don't want to talk about. Those are my two options for Corey
Cejudo.
Sandhagen.
Do you want to
If
just kill
Cejudo's gonna
Cejudo?
fight, look, yeah, absolutely. If Cejudo's gonna fight, feed him to the Sandman. But Petr Yan, Corey Sandhagen, I'd love to see that again. I think that's the way you go. It keeps Corey in that top five. Gives Petr Yan a good opponent to aim for. So, yeah, what do you think? I don't think you got your thought out there.
I like the Jan rematch. Yeah, yeah. The Jan
Yeah,
rematch just sounds good because it was a really good fight. It was from the interim. Both of them were the top of their of their class at the time. But I think really Sangin should wait, see how the division plays out with the O'Malley Marab. We have I'm pretty sure I remember seeing Jan is booked for something. I can't remember what.
keep going and I'll look it up.
Yeah, I think Jose Aldo will be a good little matchup too. But Aldo's booked up versus I believe Kyler Phillip or Mario Bautista. A good fun matchup would be Dominic Cruz, but that's way down the rankings. See if Cruz is willing.
Yeah,
So
who knows
I
if
think
with
Cruz,
Cruz, we don't know
yeah,
anything, do we? Like he's in the rankings, but not doing so much.
he's like trying to be slick by analyzing the fighters from the commentary booth, but he's not doing
Yeah,
anything with it.
Petr Yan is not booked up.
He's not booked up.
No.
So I think there you go. I would actually give probably Umar to Petr Yan, but if Umar is really going for the title, then I would give Corey and Pierre Yan like a real rematch, a little co-main maybe for somewhere, a 3-round fight maybe on a pay-per-view main card. Because I think people will be excited. Will remind us ourselves about the first fight, about all the crazy tactics they had.
Yeah,
But yeah, it's tough for
yeah,
Corey. It's tough for Corey. There's not much you can do with him right now.
yeah. I think that's the one you make. I think you make him and Petr Yan. That could quite easily headline a fight night or something like that. So big bantamweight discussion there with the title fight coming up in just over a month. So we'll go deeper
How
into
good?
that
How good is the
later on.
division? How good is the division
Division's
so
sick.
fun?
Division's sick, and then you still got these guys hanging around: Cejudo, Aldo back in the mix, Dominic Cruz. If those guys can start to get active, you got, whew, you're cooking with fire. Shara Magomedov and Michael Alexeychuk gained the performance of the fight of the night. Magomedov winning by unanimous decision, and Michael Alexeychuk losing by death by 1,000 cuts, almost pretty much by the end of it. What did you think of this performance from Shara Bullet? We've kind of seen him quite active now in the UFC. That's his second fight this year, his third in a year. Yeah, what did you make of it?
Yeah, I'm happy to see him very active because his first performance lackluster, I believe, was against Bruno Silva. He get taken down. Like, yes, he has impressive kickboxing, but then with his wrestling wasn't impressive. He fought, I feel like, less than a month ago. Am I wrong?
Yeah,
He fought
Tripoli and the Saudi Arabia card.
Yeah, that was like a month ago. So I'm glad he's keeping active. He also went to LA to film a movie. Came back to fight Jacek as a co-main. I hope we see more of this guy. I'm interested to what the limits he has to his kickboxing stand-up, especially in middleweight, where there's a lot of kickboxers. And since he beat Jacek, he's probably just right outside the rankings, I would say. Because we saw Kevin Holland beat Jacek, and I was fighting Chris Curtis, who's ranked.
Mm-hmm.
I think they both like to scrap, so they might see that. I wouldn't mind seeing Shara versus the winner or loser of Curtis and Holland, something like that. I just want to see how much with more elite talent against him and somebody who could grapple.
Yeah,
how he would do. I'm a little disappointed he didn't finish Jacek. Because how many we saw the top middleweights, how they did finish, like Michel Pereira finished him, Holland finished him. I think there's one more I can't remember, but
Chao Borrello finished him as well.
yeah. So, and they're all ranked except Holland, but they're all ranked now. They're all climbing up the rankings. Holland might be ranked middleweight again if he beats Curtis.
Yep.
So, if everybody finished Jacek, I feel like you should be able to finish Jacek. So that tells me Magomedov is still not at that level yet. But it could be just because it was short notice in a way.
Mm-hmm.
So he didn't have enough time to prepare, but short notice fight should be still able to finish. So he's there, he's close. So I need to see more of him, how he does.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, man. You said that Kevin Holland fight. Oh, that's a good fight, man. Shara Magomedov and Kevin Holland. I would love to see that. I would absolutely love to see that fight. If Kevin wasn't booked up, I would be calling for that fight. I think that's such a great shout. Their styles match up so well, and Kevin's someone who could give him a problem because he can mix it up when he chooses to. And it would just be fun, man. The build up would be fun. Having these guys at a press conference would just be fun. Damn, I'm gutted we don't have that fight right now. But hey, you never know. Like if Holland beats Curtis, gets ranked, I think that's the fight to make. I'm with you.
And they've been kind of calling each other out, right? I think Shara even posted a little video of him trying to speak English. He's like, "I'm calling you out, Kevin Holland." And there's rumors of Kevin fighting Shara. I think they're trying to aim for this, but probably something didn't work out. So
I like it a lot.
They might see something in the future, 100%.
Yeah, and I mean that's a UFC 307, which is the Salt Lake City card. So it's not out of the realms of possibility that we could see this fight with a win for Kevin Holland. So the Chris Curtis fight. I mean, sorry, that's a 307. So no, get that booked, get that done. I mean, for me, overall, that was the least impressive performance I've seen of Shara, to be honest. I saw quite a lot of holes in the stand-up, and I think if someone can avoid the kicking game and kind of close him down a lot better, they're going to cause him serious problems. So, granted, the short notice nature of this fight probably was the reason why it wasn't his most impressive performance, but
yeah,
I definitely like you. I want to see more. I'd love to see that Kevin Holland fight now that you've said it. I don't know if it's a step too far at the moment, but hey, let's get it done. If not, yeah, I mean, he's probably knocking on the door of those guys like a Michel Pereira or an Anthony Hernandez or probably not Chao Borrello because he's more looking up. And then you got Hamza.
Well, he has a fight announced. They just announced it right before we went live.
Borrello?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah? Who's he got?
Jared Cannonier at the Apex main event, August 27th, I believe. August
like it.
24th main event, Cannonier versus Berhalia. Right. So
Oh,
that's it.
that's a
Just
couple of
went.
weeks. That's a couple of weeks.
Yeah, it was just announced right before we went live, so people probably already know it. But yeah, that's Cannonier versus Berhalia, August 24th main event.
That's a big fight for Bardio.
That's a
That's
really,
a big
I think
fight.
that's a banger fight.
Yeah, that is. That is to be locked in the Apex. Finally, the Apex gets a half decent main event.
Yep.
They're not been so good recently, have they? But yeah, that's what I would like to see from Shara. Um, and then we go on to the dwindling career of El Kukui. So poor old Tony drops another fight, mate. Puts one glove down in the octagon. I mean, surely this is it. He's kind of come out since and said if the fans follow him, he will fight somewhere else. But come on, dude, surely not.
No, I think the UC likes Tony too much to cut him, or probably the opposite. Like just for his own sake, they will cut him. But we know Tony's gonna probably most likely sign with another organization, and that's the unfortunate part. I don't think Tony should fight anymore. I think he's clearly hasn't looked the same since Gaethje way back in 2020, and at first he wasn't getting stopped against Oliveira, against Dariush. But then since that Chandler head kick, it's over. I don't think he's all there anymore. I don't think he's way past his prime. His body can't continue. His mind's not fully there. I would say he's a bit slower than everybody. And then ever since Chandler, he's been just getting stopped, except versus Patty. So it's just sad to see what's happening with Tony.
Yeah, man, and he what's that? The eighth loss in a row now, right?
Yeah, it's the record.
Math is
You see
correct.
record now.
That's not good, man. That's not good. The immediate thing that jumped out to me was he looked slow against Michael Chiesa. He looked slow, hesitant, and that's all the markings of a man that should not be in there. Just put the other glove down, man. Whatever you've got to do, get over yourself, put it down. The dude's 40 years old as well. He's got nothing to prove to anybody. He's not going to get a title shot anywhere soon. You know, even if you threw him in like an octagon, for example, he's not getting close. He's not getting close to a title shot at 170 or 155, let alone going in a PFL tournament or something like that.
Even like you said, Octagon. I mean, that organization is just full of young, hungry people. Like they want to make a name for themselves. And if you see a Tony, like, okay, like Patty, sure, up and riser. Bobby Green looked good as of late until his last two fights. But Chiesa, nobody thought Chiesa was elite. Also, Chiesa hasn't fought before the Holland fight in like 3 years.
Yeah.
He's been dealing with injuries. He's also on the older side. He's 36, 37, I believe. You know, he's too big for lightweight, smaller for welterweight, that kind of situation. And I mean, he got taken down easily by Chiesa, a step behind. Got as soon as Chiesa got the hooks in and then got the rear naked choke. So it's just sad to see what's happening with Tony. I think Randy Brown said on Twitter yesterday, I believe, like it's a drug that Tony is chasing. Like he wasn't a 12 fight winner streak, was interim champ. He's trying to chase that glory again, but it's just you gotta know when to stop. I know Tony loves this fight game, but maybe go into coaching or something, like find a pupil that you could rise up and still and live through him, knowing that you're training him and you could see growth in the game. So I feel like that's my recommendation to Tony. Just find somebody you could train, pupil, somebody who could fight like you, teach him your ways. Someone who's younger, faster than you, with your style, but still get it done. He just has to be younger, way more hungrier, and not get hit kicked to the stratosphere in his recent fights.
So basically, what you're saying is he needs to find the Anakin Skywalker to his Senator Palpatine, right? He needs to find his little apprentice.
Like look what Glover did to Pereira. I think a lot of the Pereira's success, you have to give it to Shara. To Shara, even though he's on the older side, won the belt of 42. It is also at the heavier weight classes. You know, he couldn't defend his light heavyweight belt against or he couldn't regain the belt against Jamal Hill. understood, okay, I got to retire. I'm 43 or 44, he was. Got to stop fighting. You have a pupil in Pereira. You teach him a bit of the ground game, a bit of how the business works. Pereira's thriving right now, thriving. He's probably one of the, if not the biggest star at the moment the UFC has. So I would suggest probably Tony get somebody like that and live the
Yeah,
glory through him.
yeah, man. And look, just a testament to Tony Ferguson's career. What's your favorite Tony Ferguson moment, Tony Ferguson fight that's happened over the years?
I mean, you can't go wrong with him versus Pettis. That was just a fun fight. Cerrone was fun too. You know, everything that led up to a fight win streak. Barboza, just a nasty. How Barboza looked all bloodied up when he got the dark stroke locked in round 3 and just threw him
Yeah,
around. Like that was classic Tony on the 12 fight win streak. Even against Venata, like that was a fun fight. Just back and forth, nobody stepped down. Like they don't have knockout power per se, but like the elbows, the shots are beautiful. So it's just a shame. I think my favorite moment is the excitement he had when they wrapped the interim belt around him.
yeah,
He saw, like, as soon as he submitted Kevin Lee, the emotions pour out. He's like, "Oh, I'm about to be interim champ. I could fight for the full belt, whether it was Connor, whoever was going to be champion, or Habib." It just is it's very sad. It's very sad, but
yeah. It
I,
really is what could have been with Tony Ferguson a little bit, isn't it? As for Chiesa, what do you think next for him? You mentioned kind of the injuries and things, getting on the older side within the division. I mean, would you say he's still relevant, top 15? I mean, it wasn't that long ago that he was ranked lowly down there.
no. Well, he was ranked there because he beat. I'm trying to remember who he beat to get that ranking, and probably was Neil Magny. He beat Neil Magny, which is probably his best win of his career,
Yeah,
and then was hurt for 3 years, and he couldn't defend that ranking. He lost to Vicente Luque, first round Darstroke. He lost to Sean Brady. Brady was, dominant on the ground. He lost to Kevin Holland round 1, another Darstroke submission. So I think Chiesa is slowly on his way out of the UFC as well. You might see him if he's not injured and he's willing to fight. You might see him fight against prospects, but also Chiesa. Chiesa is a nice job now as an analyst on ESPN for UFC. I think he seems way happier in that. He doesn't get punched in the face or submitted. He gets talk analysis, and Chiesa is a smart mind too. He knows what he's talking about. He's a great wrestler. He's been in the fight game for a while, so I think he should continue with the analysis on the ESPN desk for the UFC. Like we talked about it yesterday with Cruz, like what's happening with him. But he's also the same situation. Older side can't beat the top prospects, top contenders. You have a great cushion job talking about fights every week, every other week. If you're not there, if there's a pay-per-view, like you sometimes you sub in for Joe Rogan. If it's a pay-per-view outside the US, like you just gotta find the right time to quit. You have a win against Tony. You stopped your 3-fight losing streak. Retire on top.
Yeah, and it was a nice moment of him to hand the mic over straight to Tony Ferguson. I mean, there's a couple of fun fights in there. If you just kind of scroll down the topology, they've got him number 19 at welterweight in the world, which quite surprised me. There's some fights I'd like to see, maybe Gunnar Nelson, somebody like that, Nico Price, Ponzinibbio, somebody like that would be pretty cool, pretty fun, just to kind of maybe just give him a couple more just to see him out. But I totally agree with you that he's definitely 1 foot out the door and should be leaning into that analysis kind of punditry career that he's kind of built out for himself. One lady who's bounced back is Mackenzie Dern. What did you think of that fight against Lupita Godinez? It turned into a bit of a stand-up battle again.
Yeah, she was very, very aggressive round 1, and she completely dominated round 1. I think on the feet and on the ground, how quickly she took that full mount at one point in round 1, and she tried to get those elbows in. She was very aggressive. She seemed like a smaller stature person. She didn't look smaller. She didn't look like in muscle wise smaller, but she just looked really smaller, short as a person. Although I could argue she lost the last two, the second round, third round.
Okay.
If like you're being very very analytical, because Lupita came out round 2, round 3. She understood what she had to do is avoid the takedowns from Dern, avoid being pushed against the cage with Dern, and throw them hands. But Mackenzie Dern did enough to get at least 2 rounds to 1, and she got the win like that. I think round 1 is her best round, and I think we haven't seen a Mackenzie Dern round 1 like that in a while in her last few fights. And that's what she has to continue to do to keep her ranking and maybe climb up again to try to get for the title shot. She hasn't looked good as of late. Everybody who she fought for the title right after, kind of. So, like Lemos, and now just gone. Josh fought a title. She was former champ. Yan Shannan fought for the title. Marina Rodriguez didn't fight for the title, but she's she was close up there. She was up. She only has 1 loss in her career too, so we could see Rodriguez. She has more than 1 loss, but I think Rodriguez is also just around the cusp of that. So Mackenzie Dern could definitely get her name back in the title. I think the UFC likes her, the fans like her. So we got to see more of round 1 and maybe another finish from Mackenzie Dern to get her back in a conversation of a title shot.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of that goes back to Jason Perillo. I think there's clear Mackenzie Dern without Jason Perillo and Mackenzie Dern with Jason Perillo. She looks so much better on the feet when Perillo's coaching her. You almost don't really see, right, that obvious how much of an impact he's had on her camp and how much she progresses under him. So massive props to him as well. And it's interesting you say that because you kind of got the 3 of them in this little batch together. You got Rodriguez at 6, Ribas at 7, and Dern at 8. Oddly enough, Mackenzie Dern has gone down in the ranking by 1 spot to Amanda Ribas, which is just weird. You win and you go down in the ranking. So it's kind of those 3. And her problem is, the problem that's in this division right now is a lot of those girls from 5 to 15 have either fought other people in that 5 to 15 spot and lost to them, or beaten them, but lost to one of those that's 1-5, if that makes sense. So it's becoming a real tricky situation there. And I think you're probably going to see a lot of rematches. We've got Tabitha Ricci, her interview will be on the channel when this podcast goes live, but she's a similar one, right? She's fought a lot. Angela Hill is moving up there. They've all kind of fought each other. They've all taken points of each other. Your girl, Julian Robinson from Canada, is another one. It's a really interesting division, man. I don't know if you throw Dern in with like a Yan Xiaonan coming back off the loss to Zhang Weili. Is that too much too soon at this point? I just don't really know what you do with Dern and that little block of fighters as well.
That fight might be way too early to do because they just fought. Like, it's still fresh in my mind. I remember seeing Dern just being dominated on the ground by Yan Shannan. So,
sorry, yeah, she really got beat by it. Sorry, my bad.
Yeah. No, but you're right. Like we have to see rematches. We have to see rematches and somebody get a win to continue to the title shot. Because right now, I think we have a clear contender, which is Verna. And Deborah. In Yoruba, so she is definitely, she beat Lemos, who was probably in the top 5. She was right outside top 5, if I remember correctly. Tatiana Suarez, depends what's happening with her. I think she has a fight booked, if I'm not wrong.
The funny thing is, actually, Dern's got a win over Jandiroba.
Yeah, but that's the problem with this division. It's lackluster in talent, especially with Zhang Weili being the champion. Oh, Carla Esparza. I think she's booked against Carla. Oh no, Esparza fights against Tisha Torres or Tisha Pennington now.
Yeah,
and that's her retirement fight. Because that's going to be
Carla's retirement fight. Yeah, and I mean, is she even in this? Is she even ranked anymore?
I don't think she's ranked.
No, Esparza's not even ranked. How wild is that?
Yeah, and her last fight was against the champion, Zhang Weili. But she hasn't been in the ranking. She hasn't fought in 2 years now, right? So that's, I think the UFC kind of wants to push other people in the rankings.
Yeah, I mean, that's not unprecedented, is it? Look at the likes of Colby Covington. People like that. They need to stay in the rankings forever.
As long as they know white privilege, then yeah. But yeah, it's weird. The division is kind of weird, right? We have a clear champion. Hard time finding contenders and title challengers, and just everybody has a win and a loss against each other in the top 10.
Exactly.
My
Yeah.
hope, like you said, Gillian Robertson, she's kind of the safe one. Like she's ranked right now, what, 13? She's on a 3 fight winning streak.
Yeah.
She could climb up there, She could fight like a Tabitha Ricci, Mackenzie Dern even. I think they already fought each other, however, Mackenzie Dern and Gillian Robertson. Am I wrong about that?
No, I don't think they have.
That'll be a great fight. Then on the ground, you could see Gillian if her striking improve and see who has a better jiu-jitsu. And then she'll be right up there in the top 10 and
That'd
slowly
be fun.
climb the rankings.
That would
That'll be
fun.
really fun. Also, the problem is, like, I would say Jessica Andrade, like, what is she doing? Because she's just getting fights left and right against anybody, really, on the bantamweight, flyweight, strawweight, whatever she wants to do. Like, so
Yeah, she's been relatively quiet since UFC 300, hasn't she?
yeah,
We're expecting one of her announcements soon enough.
Yeah, and she lost against Rodriguez too, so it's
a weird division.
It's a weird division. Yeah, they gotta figure it out. They gotta figure it out what they want to do there. The best thing to do to give yourself a favor is to win, and that's what Dern did this weekend.
And that's what Dern did. Yeah, that's exactly what Dern did. And I mean, to be fair, Lupe Godinez could be one of those keys to one of those girls sitting in the 10 to 15 spot. I mean, she's already beat Ricci, but Gillian Robinson, she hasn't fought Gillian Robinson, so that could be a good step up for Gillian. Could also be there for Yasmin Lucindo. So there's options that I think Godinez is good enough to be where she is. Can she really, really push forward? Yeah, it's gonna be interesting. It's like those three. You have Rodriguez, Ribas, and Dern, and then you have Hill, Godinez, and Ricci, who like those three are in two separate batches. The Hill, Godinez, Ricci are kind of like the ones you almost really want to get through to try and get another title shot. Who don't really have quite the history now with that top 5, so those matchups could happen, but they need to jump that 3 in front of them. So it's an interesting division. The good thing is it's active. We're talking about plenty of matchups here. Obviously Zhang Jiroba's just fought. Zhang Weili isn't as active as she probably could be. And is Tatiana Suarez booked for the Sphere, or is that Irene Aldana? I can't remember.
It is Aldana.
Yeah.
But she's fighting Rodriguez.
Okay, so that's a good fight. If that's the fight, then that's a good fight. But
I can't quite remember.
Interesting division, and it's good. It's just good that it's active, right? Similar to kind of men's flyweight at the moment. It's active. It's running. We're seeing things happening. There's no log jams like places like people being cut. There's no log jams like there seemed to be that problem at bantamweight that we talked about earlier. So interesting division. Let's see where it goes. Final fight on the main card. Well, the first fight on the main card got performance of the night for Joel Alvarez, beating Elvis Brenner, knees to the ground and pound. This was a fun fight while it lasted, wasn't it?
Oh yeah. It was a fun fight. Well, how long was it? Like a minute?
Yeah,
sorry, it was for 3 rounds. 3 rounds. For 3 rounds, and I think a minute to round 3. It was pretty fun. I think it was pretty. Or was it 2 minutes left? I don't remember, but like, yeah, the Brenner just kind of bit on his mouth guard and just like, I'm gonna go for it. And then Alvarez is like, oh, I see you tired. I see you swinging your punches. Let me counter really quick, because that finish came out of kind of nowhere. Like Brenner kept trying to go forward, and Alvarez just like, I'm gonna find my spots. Like, bam, left body, whatever it was, to the cage, dropped him with a knee. With the knees, actually. Like, I don't know what Brenner was already not there. Like, he was bent over and just left his head exposed to the knee. There's like at one point you had to drop to stop the knees. I don't know if the hand rule is still if it's already changed.
October it comes
October. So he could have easily put a hand down and avoided those knees. But he was clearly tired. I think he was getting dominated for convincingly getting dominated for 3 rounds. Like, Alvarez was a step ahead, and what a finish. I like that finish. It was clear, decisive finish. Beautiful knees. Yeah.
Yeah, good. And another fun contender at 155, Joel Alvarez. He's kind of got to be on the point where he's looking at that top 15 now, looking at the guys in and around there, kind of sniffing around, thinking, okay, who am I after? Who am I after in that top 15? Do you kind of have an idea of who you'd like to see him up against next in particular? Paddy
Dan
Pimblett,
Hooker.
maybe? Dan Hooker. Oh,
I think
that's
he
wild.
called out. Am I wrong? Did he call out Bobby Green?
Yeah, he did.
King
Yeah,
Green? He called him
yeah, he did.
Bobby, not King, though, right?
Yeah.
That was not a bad fight. I think Green's on a 2 fight losing streak now. I don't know.
Yeah,
Green
Bobby's on a
fought
one fight because he beat Jim
fun.
Miller and then he just lost
He
to
bet
Paddy.
Jim. Yeah, before that he lost to. Yeah. So
Yeah.
he's 1-2 in his last 3, and he just lost his ranking to Paddy. So I don't know if the UFC wouldn't mind giving him another prospect like Joel Alvarez, and let Bobby be that right outside top 15 kind of challenger, having fun fights against prospects because he did that versus Fiziev. They're both
Yeah.
unranked, and it was a fun fight. And then Green just found his way back into the standings once again. So I don't see it as a problem. I'd like that call out. If you want to go really big, I think he's a really good style for Dan Hooker. So it'll be a fun fight. I think anybody
Hey.
can face him against Alvarez, unless it's a strong wrestler. I think it'll be a fun fight.
Yeah, that'll be a really, really fun fight. I mean, there's definitely some guys in and around that. I mean, the trouble with that one is everyone's pretty much booked up. Paddy's just for Jalen Turner's not booked up. I don't think.
No, I don't
RDA
remember
has
anything else.
just been booked, if I'm not
Yeah,
wrong.
I mean, are they trying to kill RDA? They booked him against Jeff Hands of Steel Neal.
Is that the booking they made?
That's the
Wow.
booking they made. I think I know RDA is also
Interesting.
ranked at welterweight, but that's a massive fight for
That's
him
weird.
if he loses. Yeah.
That's weird. Okay. Well, yeah. So he's booked up. You got BSD's booked up. Booker's booked up. Moicano's booked up. Holloway apparently at 9. Fiziev, that'll be a hell of a fun fight, but it's too soon. Too soon to go that high. So yeah, I think you're looking at. I think Bobby Green is King Green is a really, really smart call out from Joel Alvarez, and I think with his length, I can see him getting the job done against King Green. As emphatically as this, I mean, you never know. I mean, King Green shot for a takedown on Paddy Pimblett, so you just never know what King Green's going to turn up. But a massive performance from Joel Alvarez, man. So great win from him, and Elvis Brenner's
Really
fun
good.
as well, man. He's going to be a lot of fun in the division if he can kind of fix those defensive holes that he's got. The Alvarez managed to make the most of. So takes us down into the prelims. I mean, what stood out for you on the prelims? Anything in particular? Did you have a nice sleep during the Shamail Gaziev fight? Did you enjoy a bit of a nap time when that fight was on?
Yeah, a little bit. A little.
Oh, you drifted off.
Yeah, sorry about that. It seemed like Dontel kind of tried to outstrike him, and then Sherman wasn't taking it, and he did throw a bit lands back at him, but it shows the heavyweight division lackluster look list of power, I guess. We have a stacked on top there. They're like having the rematches again, like we said. Gane and Volkov's having a rematch. We don't know what's happening with Jones, Stipe, Tom Aspinall. I mean, Curtis Blades is up there, but he beat everybody almost, right? He beat Volkov. He beat Pavlovich. Oh, sorry, he lost to Pavlovich. So and I don't think Blades will get another title shot. So it's lackluster division. Nobody's really impressed except Aspinall, and everybody's just chasing him. And if you compare Gaziev to Aspinall, let's say, I think Aspinall wipes the floor with him. He's just too slow and stuff like that.
Smokes him.
I think just be a fun
Smokes him.
fighter. Just don't give him Derek Lewis. I don't want to see Derek Lewis get out wrestled.
No, we don't need to see that. I mean, what else was there? Jai Herbert. I thought Jai Herbert was really good. For the majority of the fight, kind of dropped it off, I think, in the third round, but good performance overall, especially in that first round. After getting whacked by Ilia Topuria last time out, if I'm not mistaken, was the last time he fought, wasn't it?
Was it? No,
John,
he fought a few.
has he fought since then?
He fought 3 times. He fought
Oh, geez,
Kyle Nelson, he fought Ludwig
wow.
Klein, and he fought for Ziam in France. I'm pretty sure
Okay.
against Ziam. But yeah, he's dropped one. Well, after that fight against Topuria, he actually fought. He won, draw, and a loss. So he has everything in his record except a no contest right now. But I guess a good win. I think he just tired out at the end. He kind of forced. He did a lot. He can use a lot of energy, and he's probably not used to the heat in Abu Dhabi with the humidity as well.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. Even the commentary team was saying it was hot in there. August in Abu Dhabi is not a nice place to be. Not a nice place to be.
I would say the best performance of the prelims was Fernandez against local homeboy Muhammad
against Yahya. Honestly, I just thought Yahya was bad. I just thought Yahya was not nowhere near the level, to be honest.
I think that just shows how Fernandez deal with him. If he's not as nowhere near the level, Fernandez did what he needed to do. I think it showed his power as well. And I think they're also 155. And I wouldn't mind seeing him against Alvarez. Was there 155? There were 155. I would put Fernandez versus Alvarez, who we just spoke about. I think it's a good matchup.
Yeah, it could be. I mean, like I said, I'm not entirely convinced. I just think it was more that Yahya was really, really bad. I was watching the first minute of that fight, thinking, dude, if you weren't from the UAE, you would not be in the UFC like that. I just thought he was awful. So yeah, difference of opinion there, definitely on Fernandez. But hey ho, let's see from his next performance. You're only as good as your last performance, and he was very good to take advantage of whatever was coming his way. Asmat Murzakanov was also very good. I thought stopping Alonzo Menifield. I mean, Alonzo Menifield is no joke. And if I check up on the rankings, does that get your man ranked or not? Yeah, it does. It does. Puts him in at 11. Puts him in at 11. So that's a good bit of fresh blood into the division, undefeated as well. Could be
at least
pretty exciting.
He finished on the feet. Instead of wrestling, so that's good. And you want to compare? I mean, Menifield had to really how do I say this nicely? Show the doubters because when his last fight against Carlos Ulberg, as fast as it started, that's as fast as it finished.
Yeah,
you show poor fight IQ against a knockout artist, let's say, and he did push the pace against Azamat, but Azamat's powers seemed too strong for him.
Yeah, it did, man. He looked to really, really struggle on that. That's bounced him straight out of the rankings. Like, no messing around. I mean, if Anthony Smith is even still ranked, so he just bounced him straight out. That's horrible. Yeah, Murzakanov, man, if you're looking ahead, Volkan Ozdemir would be a really good fight. I think that would be a really tremendous fight. Other than that, everyone's pretty much booked up. We don't quite know what Khalil's doing. Maybe the UFC will feed him to somebody lower down after his drug issues that he's had. I know he's been on Joe Rogan recently, but I haven't had time to listen to it. I don't know if he's cleared it up or kind of said what happened, but it was a bit of a weird situation with him, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think they have to. He's still suspended. I think they have to figure that out. But yeah, I would give him even Anthony Smith. If as mean as that is, Guskov. Anybody 15 to 11 right behind him, I would fight. I would fight them. If they really be brave, I'll give him Johnny Walker maybe. I think Walker needs a long break or move up to heavyweight.
Yeah, that dude's a different case. And I mean, props as well to Jordan Vucenic for making his UFC debut, stepping up from Cage Warriors. We did actually have a post-fight interview with him on the channel where he said he's looking for an opportunity with the UFC. He got this opportunity, was tremendous in the first round. I thought, wow, he could finish Guram here and give a big upset. Because Guram's kind of been outed for a while as being pretty legit in this division. And to me, he hasn't really proved it so far. I don't think he's lived up to the hype. I don't know if you would agree, but
Agreed.
he was in trouble in that first round. He was in big trouble.
I had actually Jordan round one and round two kind of maybe that was biases, but I think he had him. I think it was close. I think he what was it 2 weeks notice?
Yeah.
2 weeks notice, and then he just fought at Cage Warriors as well, right? He defended his belt
Yep.
a
That's
few
right.
weeks before that. So I mean his record's so impressive, 13-3. Like he came in 13-2. I think you give him another chance. I feel you have to give him
Yeah, for
another
sure.
chance.
Yeah.
And I think he's good. I think he looks dope. He looks sick. I like the tattoos on him. He looks apart. So you could tell you could have a fan base behind him. He's from England. So I think if you do another fight night, I think Dana was probably talking about maybe in England or Ireland, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
Throw Jordan there. People know him already from Cage Warriors. Um, get him a fun fight at lightweight. See how he does. Because I think he didn't really have a chance to plan for Guram.
Hmm.
So he tried to kind of out wrestle him the whole time and stuff like that. But I'll give him another chance. I want to see him maybe on 6 weeks training camp, something like that. See how he does.
Yeah. Give him something. Give him something a little bit more. And I mean, in between the times of our edits, not only did I get a haircut, but it's been announced that Francis Ngannou is making his comeback. And I mean, if you scroll back to an episode before this one, I believe, is where we had our big heavyweight conversation. And I don't think Francis Ngannou's name came up as, one of the best heavyweights in the world, but he's fighting Kenan Pereira on October 19th in this PFL. I don't know how they're branding it, pay-per-view, super fight, super belt challenge, Bellator series thing. Also on there is Chris Cyborg, who is going to be facing the Kayla Harrison hype train stopper, Larissa Pacheco. I mean, what do you make of Francis coming back? And do you think it's impactful in MMA? Do you think it with a win? Do you think that would fuel talk of a crossover fight? Probably the UFC aren't going to do it, but what do you think?
I don't know about crossover fight, but I think it will fuel the conversation of who is the best heavyweight in the world again.
Hmm.
Because we kind of forgot about Ngannou, and he lost
Yeah.
twice in boxing. He
Yep.
went to get the bag. And Renan Ferreira, I'll be honest, I don't watch Bellator much, but I did see him versus Bader, right? Ryan Bader. I keep saying Bader. Ryan Bader. At the PFL versus Bellator type fight, and he looked huge next to Ryan.
Right.
He looked huge. So we'll see how he does against Ngannou because he is what 6'8",
He's a big boy.
6'8" versus 6'5". His reach is 85 inches. That's 7'1". And Ngannou has something similar like that too. I think he has 2 inches less than that. So I think this will be a fun fight. Ngannou, what he has to do is just prove he's the best combat sports athlete.
Hmm.
Just prove if you beat Renan, I think it'll be back to conversations. Oh, what if he did fight John Jones? Oh, what if he fought Aspinall? We'll see what happens. And because we won't see those fights, we could probably have an opinion of who could be the best heavyweight. Like maybe Ngannou did beat everybody. Everybody he lost to, he got the win. Just talking pure MMA. Against Stipe, knocked out Stipe. Against Gon, came back with one leg. Alistair Overeem beat him. Like I think he's gonna remind everybody that he left the UC on top. It went to get the cash, but he's still there.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's interesting the placement of this fight
Yeah,
before the supposed Jones Stipe card.
a month
Interesting
before, right?
yeah, interesting that's where they've placed it. I would have put it after that, maybe, because if you're the UFC, you just turn up the marketing machine around about that October time for MSG, and you just remind everybody that he's not fighting in the UFC basically. And then it also would set up quite nicely for Ngannou to call out because we'd know the winner of that matchup by that time, right? It would set up quite nicely Ngannou and the PFL to say, "Hey, we're the guys. Let's do a cross promo. We think our guy beats your guy." End of story. But it kind of sets it up in a bit of a weird way. I mean, maybe they're not going to go down that road and they're not going to push for that mega fight. Who knows? But look, we all know one thing: Tom Aspinall is the best heavyweight on the planet. I think he absolutely goes through Francis Ngannou like a knife through butter. Just takes him down, turns him around. Job done.
I'll keep my mouth shut, so I don't want to be kicked off this podcast.
I mean, just interestingly, I think play devil's advocate. What if Francis loses? Does that really kill the PFL, or does it make them? Because surely they're banking on him winning, right? To try and do
There's
something bigger.
100%.
Jake Paul,
I mean,
well, probably not Jake Paul. He's too. Jake Paul wouldn't fight Ghana, would he? But
I wouldn't mind seeing that. I think that's a great matchup for Jake Paul. Actually, I think that's stylistically.
Let's do it.
Here's the problem: Ngannou beats Ferreira. Who's next?
Exactly. Yeah.
I don't know, and I don't know. You don't give him Bader. You don't. Do you give him Fedor Emelianenko? Like, is he like no? Like,
Bring him out.
there's nobody there. There's no heavyweight division really in PFL / Bellator, whatever it is. I could only see him go back to boxing because then you have way more fights there. You could have against the Asian fella Zhang as a matchup. You could have a Wilder who's coming off a loss, 2 losses now. You have 2 losses. So
Well, I think you try and get Wilder in MMA. I don't think you try and get Wilder in boxing. I don't think you do Zhang. I don't think it's big enough. I don't think Ngannou Zhang is big enough, and he's already done AJ and Fury. So I don't know. The reason he's coming back to MMA is because there's nothing left in boxing, right? If there was a big boxing paycheck on the card, Saudi Arabia, Riyadh season, he'd be doing that, right? There's a reason I think there's a reason he's come back to MMA.
I think the reason is because he signed with PFL. I think he wanted to do MMA and boxing.
Mm-hmm.
If he really didn't want to do MMA, he would have stayed in boxing because then all these fighters he could have fought. Yeah, he fought AJ, he fought Fury, but there's more fighters. Like you win against Wilder, you win against Zhang. Even though, I mean, Wilder and Zhang just headlined the card a few months ago. So I wouldn't if Ngannou fight Zhang, we would really see where Ngannou is kind of at in boxing because only some loss in boxing really. So then see what he does there, and he could obviously build up to get the rematch against either AJ or Fury. Although I personally don't want it, I think they're much more experienced. But it just Ngannou has kind of no options left. That's what I think. Ferrero is the only and it was the obvious option. But if he beats him, what happens next? There's nothing for him. I don't see anything for him.
There's not. That's the issue. That's the issue, and that's probably why they're going to go for some sort of crossover call-out fight, or like you say, go and chase a Wilder or somebody like that. But with that being said, our time together has come to an end for this week. Look, next time we'll be back. We'll be previewing pretty hell of a good card. I'm looking forward to it. The Australia card 305.
5, yeah.
305. So we'll see if Israel Adesanya can come back against Dricus du Plessis. But until then, as always, Gamebred Boguslavski, thank you very much for your time, my friend. And we'll catch you later, everybody.
See everybody.